Washington and You on the Air. Bob Corr speaking. Before turning to our regular interview with Senator Munt, we have for you a report of a special presentation held recently at the White House in which your senator participated. Accompanying Senator Munt at the ceremonies held at the White House was Mr. Bruno Jacob of Ripon, Wisconsin, who is a frequent South Dakota visitor. He's also the National Secretary of the National Forensic League, and Senator Munt is the president of that league. The setting for this impressive ceremony was the famous Rose Garden on the south portico of the White House. In attendance for the presentation were the members of the Washington Press Corps, including the representatives of many newspapers and two major wire services, the Associated Press and United Press International, as well as, of course, many television and radio networks. You will now hear excerpts of the ceremony as Senator Munt is presenting the award to President Johnson, and you will hear President Johnson's response.
Your school is now a member of the National Forensic League, and you're the only debate coach in America that we know of who ever attained the presidency. It's encouraging to all those other 1,500 debate coaches, believe me, and as president of the National Forensic League, it is my real pleasure to present to you as a distinguished debater in your own right, as a debate coach, a plaque which reads that, be it known that the Executive Council of the National Forensic League has elected Lyndon B. Johnson, the President of the United States, a national honorary member in recognition of his achievement in demonstrating the effective use of debate and persuasive speaking in attaining and serving positions of great responsibility. In witness whereof we have hereunto fixed our signatures in Washington this 12th day of May, 1964. Carl E. Munt, National President, Bruno E. Jacob, National Secretary, and with this goes a solid gold, Black Hills, South Dakota gold honorary keyboard.
Senator Munt, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to accept this honorary membership in the National Forensic League. Only two people could be more surprised than I was to hear about this. That's Lady Bird and my old debating coach. I noticed the resolution which elected me as honorary member says that this election is not motivated by the exalted office he now holds as President of the United States. I didn't know my speeches were really that bad. I was invited to speak to your national tournament and student congress in Akron this year, and I had a good reason for turning that invitation down. I felt that if you heard me speak out there, you never would want to make me an honorary member. I'm proud that the high school where I used to coach debate, Senator Munt, is now a member of the National Forensic League. I want you to know that I do not attribute anything to the fact that it was invited to join after I left the coaching job there. I'm especially happy that my old friend Carl Munt had a hand in this event. Carl can win more debates than almost any Republican that I know. Hope he doesn't win one against me this year. You know, there's a story of a college debater who told his teammate that an upcoming debate would be a real battle of wits. How courageous of you, his friend said, to go unarmed. Now, I know that members of the National Forensic League go into every debate armed, not only with their facts, but with wits, too. Democracy is a constant tension between truth and half-truths, and in the arsenal of truth, there's no greater weapon than fact. Truth or fact, as Carlyle said, is the life of all things. Falsity or fiction, or whatever it may call itself, is certain to be the death. Fiction about what is good and right for America is certain to be the death of our society. For the truth about what America is and can be, the truth of ideals and principles for which men have labored and died, this truth alone heals the deepest wounds of hatred and division. I know of no experience that I have ever had that gave me more satisfaction, or I know of no occupation that gave me better preparation and finer training than my work with in the forensic field as coach of high school and college debaters. As debaters, you must search for the truth, and you must speak the truth, and you must surrender yourself to the truth. For the genius of our democracy is that it admits variety and it permits criticism, knowing always that in the long run, truth will prevail. I think the greatest disappointment that I ever experienced was not being defeated in a political campaign, but in losing the state championship of Texas the first year that I coached debate. And I always attributed the loss to the fact that I drew the wrong side of the subject instead of the right side. We had a subject to resolve that the jury system should be abolished. And my team drew the affirmative. And the people weren't ready to abolish the jury system, although it was wavering for a while when my speakers were attacking it. When they brought in the votes, the first vote was affirmative, and that pleased me. And the next one was negative. The next vote was affirmative, and the next one was negative. And there's a great deal of suspense there for a moment, and the next vote was negative, and I got sick at my stomach. But this is wonderful training. The National Forensic League is doing a great work. I'm very proud that you should think of me in connection with the contribution you're making to searching for the truth, speaking the truth, surrendering yourself to the truth, and leading young America to a better day and toward the fulfillment of a greater dream and what we all know is going to be the great society. Thank you very much, Senator Munn.
I think it might be well if you would tell us what is the purpose of this National Forensic League.
Yes, I'll be glad to do that, Bob, and it's right. President Johnson stated that he considered among his happiest experiences his years as a debate coach, because you could see the development of these young Americans as anybody can who teaches speech. Now, the National Forensic League was organized for the purpose of giving recognition to outstanding young high school Americans who are engaging in competitive speech, that is, in debating or extemporary speech contests, impromptu speech contests, original oratory, declamatory, any kind of speech contest in which the participant tries to excel his fellows and his adversaries from other schools. We award a national key, just as Delta Sigma Rho and Pi Kappa Delta do at the college level, at the national tournaments, which are held every year. Very fine trophies are awarded both to the school and to the individual participants. We hold a student congress modeled very much after the Senate and the House, taking up exactly the same kind of legislative matters we take up here, providing for a week practical legislative experience. The whole concept being to develop better citizens, because after all, democracy is government by discussion rather than dictation. And to be effective in it, it's important that these young Americans who are going to be the leaders of the future develop a capacity to speak convincingly and persuasively to convince their fellows concerning the validity of their ideas and concepts.
Well, now, you've given a very good outline of what the aims and ideals of the organization are, but tell us something about how it originally got started and the part that you played in it.
Well, I was teaching school in Bryant, South Dakota in 1924, when the superintendent of schools at that time, Ed Steele, who's in know him back home, a wonderful, fine educator, known to a great many people, I'm sure, who are listening to this program. Ed Steele assigned me the job of coaching high school debate, and I had very much difficulty getting people interested in debating. It wasn't as glamorous or as exciting as basketball or something else, and I wondered if we couldn't find some way to provide some incentives. At that time, I had ordered some debate manuals from Bruno Jacob, who was, at that particular juncture of his life, teaching and coaching debate at Ripon College in Ripon, Wisconsin, and was a member of the Pi Kappa Delta debate fraternity. They had put out a debate manual. I ordered them and got them, and sending him a check, I said, Mr. Jacob, you know, it's too bad we don't have in high school something like Pi Kappa Delta or Delta Sigma Rho or Tau Kappa Alpha or some organization to inspire these youngsters to devote a little more energy. There are no cheerleaders for a debate team, or nobody fills the auditoriums and the arenas and clap and applaud when somebody shoots a basket. And I said I'd given a little thought to that, and to my surprise, he wrote back and said, I've been thinking about it too. Why don't you and I get together and try to start something? And out of that, we did start the National Forensic League in 1925. And just a few years after that, we held our first national speech tournament in Ripon, Wisconsin. And we have held now those tournaments for some 30 years, with a year or two interruption during the war in all various parts of the country. And one of the things I really am proud of in the few years that I taught in high school, 4 altogether, then I went on to college teaching, was my part in founding the National Forensic League, which now has over 1,500 chapters, Bob. We've had over 200 members altogether.
200,000.
200,000 members, right? 200,000. And by the way, I've got hanging in my wall membership certificate number 1, because Jacob, when I sent in my dues, said, well, since you have kind of conceived this thing and originated it and you're writing with me, he sent me membership certificate number 1. So since then, 199,999 odd have gone through the mills, and we've got some right here in Congress. We've got 2 or 3 congressmen who are former NFL members. One of my colleagues in the Senate, Hubert Humphrey, was a high school debater in South Dakota, got a National Forensic League key, and I'm sort of proud to see these fellas coming along. Whether they're Republicans or Democrats, I sort of feel NFL helped inspire them and helped train them for effective public service.
I notice that you hold the title of president. How long has that been?
I've been president now for almost 20 of those 30-some years that we've had the NFL, and I enjoy very much the minor duties in connection with it.
Thank you, Senator Munt, for this presentation of a most significant event in the history of the National Forensic League. The presentation of and acceptance by the President of the United States of honorary membership in the National Forensic League, I believe, will long be remembered as one of the great highlights of 1964 activities of the NFL. In closing, our appreciation is expressed to Mr. Bruno Jacob, Secretary of the National Forensic League, Senator Munt, National President, and the White House staff for their cooperation and assistance in bringing you this report.